There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday book launch. I'm very pleased that we get to be in Debra Kaufman's good company tonight, a fabulous poet and also, even more importantly to me, a fabulous human being. I like being in her company just because. I'm going to read a brief bio and then I'm going to really turn it over because if you haven't heard Debra read, you're in for a treat tonight. I resonate with so much that she says and how she says it, I'm in awe of. Debra Kaufman grew up in various small towns throughout the Midwest with deep roots in Gridley, Illinois, and has lived in North Carolina. We're so lucky to call her ours because she has lived with her family here for over 30 years. She has worked as a detasseler. We're going to have questions. Waitress, newspaper correspondent, editor, and the journal's editorial manager at Duke University Press. She has served on various nonprofit committees and boards and serves as an editor for online journal One and on the board of directors of the Paul Green Foundation. She is a member of the Black Sox Poets. And if you don't know who that group is, we're in good company with several of them, fabulous poets, the Greensboro Playwrights Forum, the Dramatists Guild, and the International Conference of Women Playwrights. Debra's latest collection, which is what we get to celebrate tonight, Outwalking the Shadow, which was put out by Redhawk Publications in 2023. She's also the author of God Shattered, which was Jacar Press 2019, Delicate Thefts, Jacar 2015, and The Next Moment, also Jacar 2010. A Certain Light, which was out in 2001, and then also chapbooks, Moon Mirror Whiskey Win, which was Pudding House 2009. I think we got to celebrate with you with God Shattered, correct?
I'm not sure.
If we didn't, then we probably should go back and do that as well. But I am so delighted you're here. I'm going to turn it right over. And if you haven't already done so, remember to mute yourself when we're listening.
Thank you so much, Malaika. I really appreciate this series that you do and all the voices you bring together for this. And I really appreciate Redheaded Stepchild. It's such a great name. It's such a fun magazine. And it's so nice to see. I think I know pretty much everybody who's in the Zoom meeting, so I'm really excited to see you all here. I'm going to start with, because I didn't have a chance to read God Shattered because it came out in 2019 in the fall, and then COVID struck in March. So I had a couple of readings, but not very many, but I just thought I would read one. I should hold it up there. This is called To a Reader, and this is written, for a poet or a writer, you write something down and then you put it into the world. And so you don't know who is receiving what you wrote at the other end. It starts with an epigraph from Emily Dickinson. This timid life of evidence keeps pleading, I don't know. I do not know you, do not know your people. Did they plow or hunt, embroider or stoke the engine stove, work in the mines or study law, or were they lords of the land? I don't know if you hurry in high heels or stroll barefoot in the garden. What compels you to face the mirror? I don't know if I ever will pass you in the street or whether the next storm will ruin your home. I don't know whether you torture yourself or maybe others. When you will ever have enough. I do not know whether you struggle to find meaning and love in this life, whether you can be other than you are now and long have been. I don't know where you last left your heart, where you want to be buried, where your soul will eventually go. I don't know how to see and not see, how to hold a thing and its opposite in mind, how to look at evil, yet keep an open heart. Do you believe anything you dream may be happening somewhere? Okay, so I'm going to switch over now to Outwalking the Shadow, which looks like this. These were, as Malaika said, these were, or Paul, one of you guys was talking about, these were written in the last 3.5 years during COVID, which is, still with us. And I've always long been interested in the idea of the shadow, all the aspects of the shadow. I think it started when I watched the Peter Pan movie, and the shadow came loose, and it was like, what? I don't understand. But of course, it goes much deeper than that. So the book starts with 2 epigraphs. The first one is from the psychoanalyst Carl Jung. To confront a person with his shadow is to show him his own light. And the second is from T.S. Eliot, The Wasteland. And I will show you something different from either your shadow at morning striding behind you, or your shadow at evening rising to meet you. So the poem that opens is very much takes off from that Eliot quote, although I found the Eliot quote after I wrote the poem. But it was just one of those. So during COVID, just to back up, I walked every day. I always had a pad and a pen in my pocket. And the poems in the book range from being very present and observing what was going on as I walked to letting memory intrude, or not even letting it, just that it was happening. Memory, and then also the very swirling political world that was happening intensely, and still is, of course. But so the book is in 3 sections. The first are what I consider more memory or family poems. The second section is more being in the COVID world. And the third is, I guess, more socio-political poems. So the first one is, walking westerly, my shadow precedes me. She does not hear a warning in the wren song as I do, or see the ghost moon as an omen. She appears to have a jauntier step, wilder hair, longer, slimmer limbs. Perhaps she is the me I once was, waitress, dancer, diary keeper. Nothing bad has happened yet. Soon she will trail a dangerous fragrance, be sniffed out, tracked, pinned down. Wind trembles the beech leaves. The wren calls again. I step toward the past, she into the future. So when I was young, we moved around a lot. My father was a telephone switchboard installer. And so however long a job might last, 6 months to a year, we lived in a trailer, the kind of trailer that was pulled behind a car, not a stationary one like there is today. So we just uprooted and took off to the next new place. So I got to be, or I don't know if got to be is the right word, but I was a new girl. All of us in our family were new girls, or new kids each time in many schools. So this one is called Wild Horses. I think I was in 3rd grade. As a new girl, you must learn the rules of recess lightning quick. The boys are cowboys, the girls wild horses. If they catch you, they get to corral you. How fast can you flee? Your bare legs lean, wind in your hair, jacket wide open. You reach the creek edge, breathless, untouched. Watch as boys lead girls by the wrists to the school's cool shadow. The girls whinny, paw the ground, nibble pretend apples from the boys' grimy hands. You see, you are neither the tamer nor the tamed. You toss your mane. Until now, you never knew. you could outrun everyone. I was the fastest girl that year in my class, fastest kid in my class that year. So now I'm going to jump ahead to age 13. And this poem is really dedicated to my junior high school friends in Iowa. It's called Chime. We were birds then at 13, a chime of wrens chirping, carbonated goddesses blowing bubbles, spilling secrets, dancing the latest dances. We did each other's hair, practiced kissing, gossiped, a girl's initiation into insight. We shook the magic 8-ball, could not imagine a path toward our future. We only knew we didn't want our mothers' lives, taking dictation, cleaning up messes, hiding tins of money. We were angels falling, wingless, trusting the wind to lift our bodies of light far above the silver water tower, to let us down kindly somewhere, anywhere, wild and broad and new. All right. Oh, sweet. I'm going to read the next poem was written, it's called Census 2020. As I said earlier, we all remember 2020 was a really difficult year, a year of violence, a year of anger, fear, and bad weather and climate change and all kinds of stuff. And I think there were a lot of problems with the census. Anyway, I made up my own census questions. How many live in your heart? How many are on fire? How many flooded out? Who changes the diapers? Does anyone tiptoe around the rage of another? Is anyone in the household reading Ginsberg, Sappho, Crime and Punishment? Does anyone dream in color? Do you happen to know the answer to 21 down in today's crossword? Has your household received an eviction notice yet? Did anyone in your household march for justice, for peace? If yes, is anyone still marching? List the number of guns in your household by type and intention. Name your favorite songwriter, name your favorite movie, who prays and to whom, how often, and for what. There is no right or wrong answer. Who among you is not complicit? Is anyone enjoying the last of the summer tomatoes? So another thing that was going on with me during COVID, with my family, is that our mother who had Alzheimer's was in lockdown, and that was really terrible because she couldn't understand, and it was terrible for everybody, and she couldn't see anybody until she died. Oops, excuse me. So these are sad poems. I'm not going to read too many of them. They're hard to read for me. But I did want to read. My brother is here in the Zoom call. I'm so excited, and as is his wife. And so I wanted to make sure I read this poem because I dedicate it to him. When I call you saintly, you say hardly. Shake your head. But you don't have to be pierced by arrows or burned alive to deserve the name. I mean, your ministrations to our mother, your shepherding her to her final home. In your eyes, a blue promise to take care of her. Your wild silver hair, an aura of beneficence. I mean, the light in you that always made her brighten, wave, call out, that's my son. Mhm. I think it's really important, all of us who write about that time. I think somebody told me nobody's going to want to read COVID poems, and everybody's always written about grief. And so, like, why, whatever. It's like, okay, well, I disagree. And I think it's really important to mark the specifics of that time. And so when my mother died, it was the height of COVID, July 2020. We were afraid to fly. We drove. Everything was, as you remember, probably the laws were very strict in some states, including Illinois, which is where she was. And so this is called My Mother's Funeral. Blackbirds skim the corn stalks, bowed down from last night's storm. We came early to sweep up debris, scrub lichens off the family stones. On a hand-crocheted tablecloth, we arranged flowers, photographs, her favorite porcelain angel. The law allows only a graveside service with no more than 50 gathered. Cousins and elders arrive wearing masks. We are awkward, hesitant to touch. Their eyes say, I am here for her, for you. Sweating in church clothes under the unkind sun, I want to lose myself in the cornfield, howl like a coyote alone. Here sits my husband, here my 2 sons, here my oldest grandson. I try not to look at the sad mound of black dirt. Words are spoken, I try to make sense of. If I cry now, I won't stop. My chest is a thin shield my heart pounds against. We are at our best at a funeral, I think. Suddenly, we are all singing. So this is a poem I swear I'm going to read every time until the laws change back. But I wrote this poem a few days after Roe v. Wade was overturned. And it speaks for itself. Yeah, women will die. Who wouldn't rather drink coffee on the porch while chickadees flit, chirping their names, than read the headline, Women Will Die, knowing the story that follows, the ancient story. Women of the forbidden fruit, women hauling water at the well, waiting to be chosen, women as bearers of tidings, glad or otherwise, as bearers of the blame for what we did with a man or a man did unto us. Forced to bear the fruit of that labor, women will die. Women as partners in the crime of their bodies, of their daughters, their neighbors' bodies. Women as witnesses to centuries of mistakes were made. Women with secrets. Help, I cannot bear this. Women as strangers crossing state lines, as refugees. Women will die. Women of the underground, herbalists, healers. Women as villagers, warriors, sisters. Women too, alas, as enemies. The righteous shouting in God's name, so be it, then die. Okay, I have to read this one since my brother's here too. He's a big baseball fan. And this is a pantoum for those of you who like to study form or, recognize it. And the way this came about is that I was doing a crossword puzzle that had quotes from Yogi Berra, the famous catcher and famous, I don't even know what you call him, just interesting language. And then I was reading Robert Frost poems too. So they came together in a certain way. It's called After Yogi Berra and Robert Frost. If the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. We made too many wrong mistakes. That's Yogi. We've cut, burned, poisoned, left a legacy of marauding. Every day the earth quakes. We made too many wrong mistakes. But if I list the harm we've done, are doing now, marauders still making the earth shake. These lines would be only a weary plowing of the harm we've done, are doing now. I'd rather write to see what I didn't know I knew. Lines that wearily plow old ground surprise neither writer me nor reader you. I'd rather find out what I didn't know I knew. That's Frost. Yogi said, you can observe a lot by watching. To surprise myself and you, I should try to transcribe a mockingbird song. Life goes on, that's Frost, weary. Yogi observed life askew, off the cuff, as jester, wise guy, sage. If I could transcribe a mockingbird song, I'd leave something new, delightful on the page. We need more jesters, wise guys, sages. Though I can't rewrite the marauder's legacy, I'd like to leave some delight on this page. If the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. Oh, Yogi, gotta love him. So I'm going to end with, this is actually, sometimes when walking around in very, very dark days of COVID, just every once in a while, I got swept up into this amazing joy, inexplicable joy. So this poem I'm going to end with came from, it is a COVID poem, but it came from that time. And it's called Let My Heart Swing Open, like French doors to a garden of blousy flowers, saloon doors where Kitty serves shots of rye, a screen door with a farm wife waving you in. Or let my heart be a picture window through which I see everyone I have ever loved, my breath steaming the glass. Come in, we'll turn up the party lights, show all the passers-by we're dancing. Or better yet, let's all spill out into the street. My heart a village music festival. Welcome teachers, firefighters, cashiers, nurses, shysters and spinsters, salsa dancers and skateboarders, cat lovers, detasselers, twirlers and high steppers. Come in your scuffed shoes, rhinestones, flannels. I'll be a mirror reflecting all y'all's kindness, your clumsy moves and broken bits, your sad patience and patient wildness, your generosity, crankiness, haunted dreams. I'll be the hostess sprinkling blessings like petals, saying, the universe is here and so are we. Champagne for everyone. Thank you.
Deborah, thank you so very much. What a great one to end on.
Thank
But oh
you.
my heavens, the census poem, there are so many comments in the chat section. You're going to have so much
Oh,
fun
good.
reading that. Oh,
Fun.
yes. We were
Yeah.
on fire with so many of the phrases and the things that you said. If people want to
Awesome.
unmute, feel free to do so. I mean, Deborah, just a fabulous reading. And I had remembered just as I was finished that we were going to celebrate that book because we did not get a chance to. So I'm glad you read a poem from the other book. And I definitely want to, to circle back around. Yeah, Pat just wrote, these poems are so powerful and beautiful. Love hearing them in your voice. Oh,
Mhm.
does anybody have a question for Deborah about process or about these books or a poem in particular?
I love that.
I thought you brought up a really good, concept. Go ahead, Donna.
I love that census poem. And what prompted that one? Those are the questions we really want the answers to.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, there was so much controversy around that because they wanted to put that citizenship thing in there,
Yeah.
and that was going to freak a lot of people out. And so the whole thing got into uproar. And it was, of course, it was at a time when everything was so fraught. Everything was so fraught. And so, yeah, I had questions that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yes, Ron,
Good
jump
question,
in.
I just wanted to say, Deborah, that I've been working on a crossword puzzle, and I think 21 down is Deborah.
Donna. All right.
That's awesome. Yeah, you did put that in the chat section, Ron. I totally
Yeah, but
forgot.
I didn't want her to miss it. So
Yeah,
Thank
no, I'm
you.
so glad you did. I'm so glad you said something. Well, and I think, Deborah, when you were talking about, someone saying nobody wants to read, about COVID or the lockdown or grief, and I think the very poems that you read, that book, Outwalking the Shadow, says differently. It is something I feel desperately need, and I think it brings in conversation.
Mm,
And the way that you do it is so, I love your craft because I admire it because you have such a great way of reaching out, starting, yes, from a personal, but then also reaching out to topics that we all desperately want to talk about, how it was fraught, how it felt. And even, the last poem where you said, the inexplicable joy, that there were, moments that things got forgotten, and walking outside or wherever we ran across this piece of joy, and how important to have had that. So I think you do a lovely job of proving that person wrong in your work. And the poem about your mother, and gosh knows, I have read a lot of poems about Alzheimer's and, written a lot of them.
mm,
And still, when you say, there's my son, I like cried. And
mm.
so, yeah, I just wanted to say how much that touched me. And I'm glad that that didn't dampen you or turn you away from writing a lot of the hard stuff and about how fraught it was.
Mm.
Yeah, and
I'm so glad I had a chance to bring that Frost quote into a poem because I quoted it to so many people because it really speaks to my processes. I write to discover what I didn't know I knew. And that's how you work through all of it, all the emotions is, whether it's in a poem or a journal or whatever, it's like, what is this? And you discover it as you go. And that was very wise of him, I think.
well, and I think the way you used it in the Pantoum is, just added to that whole idea. And Donna wrote in there an exquisite rage. I did want to come back to that. Yes, Ron, jump in.
yeah, I just wanted to add to what you said, Malika, on the COVID avoidance syndrome kind of thing. We forget how much of a joy it was when you began to be allowed to go out to the supermarket briefly, and just to greet a cashier behind two masks was a pure joy. And we forget that. And that's a worthy topic for a poem, in my opinion. So I just want to contribute my feeling on that.
Yeah. Yes. And the poem about, your mom's death and like the eyes, I mean, being masked in that, in that situation, but how much like, we saw in each other's eyes too. It really changed that focus. And I remember going to Walmart doing a pickup and I said to the guy, "You have a wonderful smile." And then I realized I couldn't see a smile. He had a mask on, but I did see his smile. It was elsewhere, and so moments like that, to me, the way you described that it was very powerful. I felt very present. And I think that that's, the details that you choose and the way that you write it really put us in that place. And you'll see all the lines that really resonated. Did someone have a question? I did want to ask about the cover. How did that come about?
I don't know, I had a cover that I really liked a lot. And Patty at Red House asked me if I had an image, so I sent it to her. But they did, for whatever reason, I don't know, they chose this one, and I thought this was so incredible. And I've had people ask me if it was me, because when I was younger, it sort of did resemble a younger me, but no, it was not me. Patty put it together, Patty and
I wasn't sure, so that's why I was asking,
Yeah.
was that an old photograph? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it worked really well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely. And then, of course, going to God Shattered, which if you could hold that up, if people don't have that, definitely look that up as well. Yeah, and I love that color, that cover.
Yeah, I love this cover too. It's a painting by an artist. And a lot of my poems have mirrors, crows, wind, shadows, Western stuff. I mean, we grew up on Westerns, Western TV, Western movies, Western songs. So the West kind of just is in my bones, even though I lived in the Midwest. I don't know, that's what we learned, was the Wild West was part of our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your poem about recess was so real. I mean, that was exactly how it was.
What's that?
The poem about recess.
Oh, yeah. Did you play that game? I didn't know if it was a universal game or not. It was.
It was.
It was.
We played it. You just nailed it on that poem.
Debra,
Awesome. Cal, jump in, Cal.
my wife loves a poem that you wrote about Trump. I'm not sure where she saw it, but it wasn't in Got Shattered, because you mailed her that one. Could you find that and read it to us?
I remember you asking me about it, but I must have read it at Flyleaf or something, but I'm sure I didn't name him. I'm sure I didn't name him by name. So I don't know how to find
I'm not sure that you did, but
yeah, I wouldn't know how to find it without a key phrase. Yeah.
Okay.
To find that phrase, and then she can
Yeah.
you control
Yeah.
F and find it.
Sure.
Did anybody have another question or comment? All right, and I don't think I missed any in the chat section. Then we can unmute and just take a moment to say, Debra, thank you so very much.
Thank you all for being here. I'm so happy to see your faces and to be here.
So wonderful. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wonderful work.
Hey, Debra.
Hey, Pet Skipper.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just my
Awesome.
heart is just like, oh, all these people I love. Yeah, so hang out some people are going to read some poems for open mic, and I'm going to hang out, and if whoever can hang out, you can.
Fabulous. Thank you. All right, guys, so we'll move towards the open mic. If I have for some reason missed you, please let me know through chat section, or just jump in. We're good with that too. Pua Ali'i, I will come to you. There we go.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
So this is this actually happened. what I'm about to read. So the title of it's called A Viquame. Though many days have passed, this day remains deeply profound. Did she whisper in my ear, knowing I would meet an aspect of her love, a gift to us all? It happens in our sleep, our waking hours, those unseen who touch our hearts and dreams. A fledgling in human form, exacting my spirit in the sacred way. The infinite me knows things. I'm moved by her invitation. Did she whisper in my ear to come to a Viquame, a power so strong that my heart raced, knowing I would meet the immeasurable, immortal. My feet running faster than lightning for this gathering of rejuvenation. How do I know? My smile passes my ears, reaching farther than the flesh and bone, splashing ether like rain, racing across prairies, quenching all bounty. Life and death is another breath. Aviquame, our nation's most newly minted national monument, is one of the most sacred tribal lands on earth, a place of refuge, sustenance, and the calls of windless days, where the Mojave Desert climbs into mountains, the sun and sky meet the tenderness of spirit, where our loved ones are released for the physical sake of the story's end. How many of my ancestors left their footprints to follow this faint path, their sweat flung on rocks or pricked by the cacti saying hi. She boasts slippery sloped crags that a misstep could leave scars or the entry into eternal reverence. I climbed Spirit Mountain, a place so holy a mosque nor temple could contain its riches, yet air, sun, and rock cradle those willing to summit her. We see near and far the vastness of our homeland. I hear his footsteps climbing towards me. I make sure he knows I'm here. A young man who in short conversation tells me his mother died yesterday. His physical appearance shows why he too came to Spirit Mountain, a Viquame. This is not a chance meeting on the summit of creation. It is the tribal knowing to cross paths, even if briefly. I often think of him and his mom. Her spirit knew I would come to see him and wish him ethereal care, a most precious gift as he takes their ghostly wisps, rocks crunching, disappears.
Oh, thank you so much, Kuali. I love the infinite me knows things. Ron, I am coming towards you. There you are.
Okay. I'm speaking, right? You can hear me. Okay.
Yep, you're
Last
good.
couple. Yep. So, Deborah, I just had to mention that your Yogi Berra thing reminded me of one of my favorite phrases. Whenever I think something has happened before, I don't just say deja vu. I say the Yogi quote.
Yeah.
Deja vu all over again.
Yeah.
One of my. It's just part of
I
my
love it. I
vocabulary
love
now.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so my poem is called Promenade. And this came from one spring or early spring, just riding my bicycle around my neighborhood, going out like 7 or 8 blocks away and coming back. So spring promenade. All around, life abandons its winter rooms. Magnolia blossoms swoon in rose and lilac gowns. Cream and pink corsages grace the cherry's bony wrists. Heart-shaped leaflets stipple the white bonnet of the pear, and forsythias preen in sunny cummerbunds. A willow yowls for lost souls hid beneath. Under a mothering sun, a daffodil flares her eggy anthers to a waiting throng, sings her throaty song, and a bouquet of bees hounds her siren scent. Spring is a schoolgirl swanning towards summer, and schoolboys frisk after, Find her too deep to grasp, too dazzling not to try.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I love that. Make sure you check the chat section. And I love the word stipple in that poem. It was perfect. Cal, I'm coming towards you.
Yes, my poem is called Rite of Spring. It's kind of seasonal. On my back in sphagnum moss, its soft greenness lifts me up. The thick swamp carpet was like a cloud under me, its spongy wetness seeping into my clothes, carrying me gently into the deep sky, light blue like a faded glassy sea. I dug my fingers into the moss, softly, not breaking the tiny stems and leaves, through the yellow underpart and down to the cool mud. A fern yawned and unfolded above my head. Feel, sinking deeper in the bog, grab handfuls of the green stuff and wring its pure water into my eyes. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Cal. Pure water into my eyes. Regina, I am coming your way.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
So this poem is actually, sometimes I get in this loop and I have to follow it. I have to write it out. And I think maybe I've read to you the one that preceded this, entitled Black as a Well. But I went to one of my poetry writing groups, and we were looking at a poem by Lee Young Lee called The Gift. And I took a phrase from that poem because it just really resonated with me. And so I can't remember the tale, but hear his voice still, a well of dark water, a prayer. Black as a well too, libation reservoir. I have poured libation on behalf of the nearly and dearly departed, on behalf of those ancient and far away. I have not always known their names, but my soul feels what they have done on my behalf. And for this, I say, thank you. It is not enough. It will never be enough. Holy water running like rivulets into an underground stream, now populated with my own aspirations and tears, and each stream rippling ends up pooling as a well of dark water. Black is a well, filled with grandmother's prayers, running over with the angst of living, trembling with the threats of not enoughness, steadily seeking North Stars and salvation. Black is a well, cycling the deepest darkness, casting the most powerful light, the essence of overcoming, sanitizing the stench of despair. Black is Evelyn, Bessie, Nettie, Reba, Carrie, Fanny, Margaret, Cinda, Deborah, Caroline, Eunice. Black is a well, a reservoir of libation that pours out, that pours in, welling and swelling again and again.
Ooh, gorgeous. A reservoir of libation. I love the list of names too. That really, that was
Those are
beautiful.
my grandmothers. Those are.
I was going to ask you, I felt like it was I felt like you were
Grandmothers.
bringing a whole list of ancestor. Oh, I love it. Beautiful. Thank you, Regina. Damala, my friend, I'm coming to you.
I'm going to do something kind of different for me. World News Tonight, 2024. Two nations under God, with liberty and justice for some. It gets very dark during a power failure. A white swan is coming. I reach into my pocket for bread. Instead, find a hole. A white swan is black in a black hole. bringing the unexpected, the statistically unlikely. Scourge or blessing? On the beach, a break in the clouds. Through a gap, a rainbow. Faith and fragility combining, somehow producing light.
Beautiful. Wow, I felt there's some comments. I keep forgetting to tell y'all, look in the comment section, but Shamala, that it had a very riddle sense to it. And I felt like just when I'd start to get a hold of something, it would turn. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. I don't know if other people felt that, but that's what I was feeling as I was listening to you. Thank you. Paul, I am headed your way.
Thank you. Since we're on shadows, the shadow's been busy, and so this poem is called When the Shadow Took a Day Off. Because the sun wasn't bright, the shadow had no chores. He slept in. That felt right. He let the time go by, amused by his own snores, like a loud lullaby he had never heard before. He got up and brewed a few cups of green tea. The steam rose and entwined like thick muscadine vines. Maybe chocolate too. Well, don't mind if I do. What liberation not to have to do as told. How about a nice stroll? A nice walk in the park? Meaninglessness feels nice. It was cloudy, not dark. At the corner, he stopped. Flashing lights invited him to cross. Walk with light. He watched as they changed. Twice. Thank you.
Paul, that was perfect poem to read tonight. Thank you for that. Oh gosh. Yeah, meaninglessness feels nice. There's a whole bunch of quotes in there. And of course, amused by his own snores. That's perfect. Oh, well played, Paul, well played. Karen, I'm coming to you.
Okay, this is some fresh ink. This is the one that came to me in the shower this morning. Fishing, lake, mirror, sky. I will cut the barb from my hook. Will thread the letter J with bread or with scrap of meat not killed by me. I will stand beneath sky on earth at the edge of sky's mirror and cast into that mirror my line, not seeking, sinking a hook, but offering the making of an offering to fish who might swirl mirror surface enough that I might see. I might catch a glimpse of what swims beneath mirror, what doesn't breathe air, which I cannot dare to try for any bit longer than a moment or so. What I want to know is the flying through mirror to sky, even if only for an instant of breaking water without breaking, actually, anything, anyone, do no harm.
This is a sister poem to Shamala's, because there's, a lot of, and there was, moments that I was like, where's this going? And then you would do something. Oh, Karen, I love refreshing. That is all. Our last poet tonight is Donna. There you are. Don't forget to unmute, Donna.
Let's see. Can you hear me? Iris,
You're good. We can hear you.
Okay, Iris Apfel died this week, so I pulled out this poem to share. She became a model in her 90s and had quite a career in decorating. The poem's called Color Me. The greatest fashion faux pas is looking in the mirror and seeing someone else. That's one of her quotes. I sit in a chair so high I have to climb up to face the truth a fluorescent magnification. Reflect on all the ways gravity has played while a teenage salesgirl, skin pure as porcelain, tries shades of tan and all over shimmer on my sun-damaged face. She frowns. Her voice rises like my temperature. What brand of night cream do you use? This is where I lie. She knows I will buy every hope in a jar. When I leave that store, I am bright as one of Flannery's peacocks, and finally transcendent.
Oh, that's a perfect poem for her, and I'm so glad that you read it. Yeah, she will be
was
missed. And yeah,
great.
buy every hope in a jar. True story, Donna. Oh gosh, did I miss anybody for open mic? If I did, just this is your moment. Jump on in, and if not, then I will just say y'all have been amazing company. And Debra, it was so good to be with you and to hear these new poems. If
Thank
somebody
you all
wanted
so
to,
much. It's beautiful hearing everybody's poems. I really liked them a lot. Yeah, very nice.
Debra, is there a way somebody could get a signed copy from you
Yeah,
of either book? What would be the best way?
well, probably if they want it signed, they should probably just let me put it in the chat, my email address.
That's what I was going to ask you if you would, if it would be okay for someone to reach out via
Yeah.
email to you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Because I
Otherwise,
know a lot of us like signed copies.
yeah. If not, you can just go to Redhawk,
Yeah.
Redhawk, and get it there. They're really fast too. They deliver like Johnny on the spot.
They do.
Is that what you said, Donna?
Yeah, they do. Redhawk's really, really fast.
Yeah, they're quick.
They're fast and they're really good that way. Well, they've got students that do that help out, so they've got to actually have a staff, unlike a lot of other small presses. So
Right.
nice.
A staff of one. So just to let y'all know, Deborah's email is in there. So go ahead and copy and paste because you won't have the chat section in just a moment. So I'm going to give everybody a second to do that. And that way you can reach out to her and say, yes, sign copies, please. Like I will be doing. All right, guys.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
you've had enough time to get that email
Yeah.
address. If you didn't, you can always reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with Debra.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. It's been lovely.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Such a
Have a great
wonderful.
week.
Lovely.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Have a great evening.
Thanks.
Too.